We're approaching 7:50 right now, and since the outbreak of the bird flu has reached cows and hens, there have been concerns about the safety of the food that we eat every day and whether we should be avoiding certain types of things. We want to bring in Dr. Rena Carlson, president of the American Veterinary Medical Association located in Schaumburg. Good morning to you. Thanks for your time.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
We appreciate it, and let's just get this out right out in front. How concerned should we be about what's going on?
Well, I really want to assure everyone that our food supply is just as safe now as it was a few months ago, and that I'm continuing to enjoy my big glass of milk and all of the dairy products. So our food supply is absolutely very safe.
Are there any implications either down the road or right now even?
Well, I think we need to keep in mind this is an ongoing investigation, animal health disease investigation. And since we've seen bird flu in poultry flocks and many of the bird producing environments, it's a little bit new that we have it in dairy herds now. So a lot we need to learn. The experts are working really hard to find those details that will help us understand how to better mitigate diseases in animals as well as people. So there's a lot we don't know, and we're still learning that. But right now, there's not a whole lot to worry about from a consumer standpoint.
Yeah, when you talk about work and an investigation, I mean, to the layman, what is that response like?
Well, what they're doing is really trying to define the virus and make sure we understand if it's evolved in a certain way, what other species it might affect, and how severe that disease process might be. So those experts have amazing tools to be able to dig very deeply into this virus and figure out what to expect. And also the biggest thing is how do we mitigate and do our best to avoid problems?
Absolutely. And when you say problems, that would be down the road. Is there any type of inclination that we've gotten even so far that would say this is the way to prevent this from happening in the future?
Well, prevention is really biosecurity as far as we know at this point. And the producers of our food are working very hard to increase and figure out what are those pieces of biosecurity that we need to improve or develop. One of the factors is we just can't control the wild bird population, and that's really one of the wild cards for us.
Mm-hmm. Are pets safe?
You know, pets are actually very, very safe. Cats are a species that do tend to have problems with bird flu, but they have to be really in that environment where there's a lot of virus. And so most of us are going to have our cats be just fine. If you happen to work in around a lot of birds or around a flock, or again happen to be an employee of a dairy producing facility, that you want to really think about the biosecurity and the personal protective equipment you can use to protect not only your pets but your family. But by and large, there's really not a lot to worry about at this point.
Dr. Carlson, I have to let you go, but where do we go for more information very quickly?
If you can, go to avma.org. We've got lots of information for the public and pet owners. So avma.org.
Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.